Yeah, I just wanted to thank the coach for letting me talk to you guys, and I've met a lot of you guys when I was at the airport, talking a little bit back here. I wanted to share with you a little bit about my story and how maybe this will help you as you move forward in your life, because I know when I was your age, I wish I'd gotten some wisdom, not just from my parents. My parents were great. I love my parents. My dad was my hero. But sometimes when you're a teenager, it can be hard. You want to get as much outside perspective as you can. So at my age, I'm 50 years old. I kind of want to give back. So I'm going to tell you a little about my story. And then if you guys have some questions about, hey man, you've been everywhere. What are some of your favorite stadiums in the NFL or MLB? I'm happy to answer those questions. And I want to praise Tristan. Tristan, stand up for the arm wrestling. I mean, that was just, he was bomb today. And Landon, you're the man. Where's Landon? Landon, stand up.
Landon's
Is he hiding? There he is. The two linebackers. Don't give you guys a hug. Give yourself a hug. There you go. There you go. There you go.
Now, give him a kiss.
No. PG rated. The hug was good. The hug was good. But you know,
it was a manly hug. You don't need to go any further.
What was great about what I saw today from you guys, and it was spontaneous, was I can tell you all really care about each other. And that's the most important thing. You got a small, tight-knit group. You all care about each other. Your coaches care about you. And whenever you are going through some adversity in life, whether it's now or it's in the future, know that you have a support network around you, like your coaches, like the folks in your community. But that was a fun moment today. So my story is, I grew up, I had a model childhood. I wasn't exactly a model child. I went to 3 high schools in 5 years. My first 2 years, I was with the wrong crowd. I was playing ice hockey. I thought, oh, I'll get drafted. I'll make the NHL. Give me a break. That's not going to happen. Tore my knee. I went to a boarding school, stayed back for a year, and that's when I really learned at 16 years old it was time to grow up, right? And then I was fortunate that I've ended my last 2 years at a private high school and I finished graduating with honors. But my point is that I grew up middle-class family, but the stresses of being a teenager got the best of me. And I was with the wrong crowd. I was kind of depressed. And fortunately, I was able to have the support network when I went to that boarding school. So here I am. I went to 3 high schools in 5 years. I went to 3 colleges in 3 years. And yet I've been able to see every sporting event on the planet. And my late father basically was a season ticket holder for the old Hartford Whalers. And they're now the Carolina Hurricanes. And my dad died in my late 20s. That was sort of my second big life-changing event. The first was being a terrible student and tearing my knee at 16. And the second was my dad dying. And that's what got me on this journey of sports travel, which I've been doing since my 20s. I'm 50 years old now. I've been road tripping since I was 20. I saw my first college football game with my dad at the Swamp in Florida. And I'll finish seeing all 131 of the Division I venues on November 5th at Utah State. So my message to you here is, if I can do it, I went to 3 high schools in 5 years, 3 colleges in 3 years, never graduated. If I can do those things, everything within your guys' potential is possible. So whatever your dreams are, if they seem too big, maybe they're not too big, right? You're always going to have people telling you when you're a young person, look into this, look into that, look into that. What you always want to do, just like your friendships, just like the camaraderie you had today in the cafeteria, is follow your heart. Follow your heart. And you're going to have things happen in life that you'll never expect, and you'll end up somewhere. When I moved to California when I was 24 years old, I thought I'd be a radio talk show host or I'd be a full-time journalist. I still do some part-time journalism. I'm a career coach today. You would ask me at 24, what's a career coach? I said, I have no idea. So your coaches here, you pull them aside if they haven't told you already, they can tell you the stories of their life. You know, your head coach, his story of how football became his path. It wasn't architecture, right? It was football. So every moment that you have together, cherish these moments because they're brief, right? how lucky are you guys to get on this plane today, come all this way, and play football? How many kids in most states around the United States of America get to go on a plane, period, for a sporting event? Not too many. Not too many on the mainland that I'm aware of. Everything is on a bus. And so you guys have had all this camaraderie. And that's the great thing about traveling. My passions, I've combined sports and travel to be able to see every NFL stadium, every MLB, every NBA, every NHL, every single Division I men's and women's basketball. I'll finish the hockey here in Alaska, at Alaska Anchorage and Alaska Fairbanks. Almost every baseball stadium at the college level I've been to, almost every minor league park. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying it to say, I'm not rich. I'm not flying a private jet to these places. The point is, if I could do all these things, and this is just an example, imagine what each of you can do, whatever it is your goals are. Does that make sense? You guys follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes, I know when I was your age, and my parents were great. My father was my hero. My mother was great. But sometimes when there's peer pressure, and there's all these voices in your head, it can be a little overwhelming. And I was like that. And so, looking back on that time, what I can say is, you guys have that support network. You've got your coaches, you've got your parents, and you've got each other, right? And the great thing about sports, and we were talking about this today on the plane, is it is the best reality television there is. You guys want to win tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
But you might lose. I hope not. I hope you win. Come in and pull off the victory. But what's the great thing about sports? A lot of you guys can think back on your failures, and whether it's football or other sports, and say, but I did learn something from that experience, right? And so we don't make that second mistake next time. And that's the great thing about sports. Sometimes failure in life, like when I tore my knee, right? Or I had adversity when my father died. I could have cried in the corner. No one's going to feel sorry for you, right? You move on because life is a gift. Every day is a gift. It's going to be freezing left and right testicles tomorrow. It's a gift. You're out there playing football, right? It's a gift. So I just wanted to say thank you for you guys being willing to be friendly with me from the time I got to the terminal. It may not, to you guys, it might be like, oh, it's no big deal, right? But this is an experience for me, just like it's an experience for you, because every day is a gift, and life is a journey. So I just wanted to share with you my story and just show you that, hey, you can go to 3 high schools in 5 years, 3 colleges in 3 years, and end up in 50 years old seeing all these great sporting events and meeting great athletes and doing the things that you guys might aspire to do. But anything you want to do in life, whether it's being an architect, running for political office, being the head of your own company, being the next big singer, next big musician, next king arm wrestler of the world over here, Tristan, anything you want to do, you guys can do. So that's all I wanted to say. If you guys have any questions about favorite places I've been or anything like that, great. If not, I just wanted to say thanks and thanks for listening. Yeah.
What's the coolest NFL stadium? In your personal opinion.
In my personal opinion. Well, the thing I always say is that, and this is the great thing about sports too, right, is when you go to a sporting event, you're there obviously for the competition, right? Tomorrow, I'm biased. I want to see a competitive game, and hopefully the win is less as it can be as possible, right? You probably all have the same idea. But you guys have a hidden agenda. You want to win. But to answer your question, having been blessed to go to all the NFL stadiums, the old ones and the new ones, there's just something special about the Packers.
Lambeau League?
About Lambeau Field.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say Denver.
Boo!
What did you want me to say? You want me to say Denver?
Is it good? Is it actually good though?
I would say, let me say this.
I've been to the Denver.
Let me say this. And this is the point I'm making, okay? So he likes Denver, right? He likes Denver. When I first went to Denver, it was a preseason game against the Chargers in 2007.
Oh, who won?
If you didn't know it was a preseason game, it was electric atmosphere. But if you go back to that time, the Broncos were good. Last time I saw the Broncos, hey man, I'm just telling you how it is. The last time I saw the Broncos was 2019, and they were playing the Cincinnati Bengals, which up until that point were known as the Cincinnati Bungles. But what has happened with the Cincinnati Bengals? Joe Burrow. So the Natty go into Denver, and the Broncos weren't good that year. If you're a Bronco fan, you know this. And there wasn't much atmosphere, I gotta be honest with you. There wasn't. Here's what makes Green Bay different. This was 2007. They were playing the Vikings, which is one of the Packers' big rivals. To the Bears big rivalry is the Packers. The Packers laugh at the Bears, right? The Packers are like, our rivalry is the Vikings. So it's a noon kickoff in Green Bay, 2007. It's actually a beautiful day. And the thing I remember most about that day is two things. I was lucky I had a media pass as I was writing for an organization. The first thing I remember is the face value for the ticket. This is 2007. The face value of the ticket was $275. In 2007! Now, for perspective on that, the Raiders game over the past weekend against the Cardinals where Murray came back and on StubHub those tickets were $212. But that's resale value, right? But the other thing I remember about that Packer game, besides the atmosphere and everything, is I got a picture of Brett Favre. He was still the quarterback of the Packers. And he's coming out of the tunnel, and I got a picture of Favre where he's in the air, leaping with joy, and he's got his two heels together. And that's how you guys are going to feel tomorrow, right? It's like, let's hit somebody, right? Let's have some fun. But the thing, and I've been to Green Bay since multiple times, it's just a sense of community. And I think that's what you guys have here, just on a smaller scale. You have a sense of community within your team. Your opponent apparently draws very well for basketball. And apparently the basketball here is a real sense of community. And that's what sports is, right? So Green Bay is the smallest franchise in the four professional sports. The second closest is Winnipeg in the NHL. So that's what makes it special. But I still love Denver.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that because you said that. I'm just joking. I would say Denver's one of my top 10 favorites, so it is. It is, especially when they're good.
The Steelers are best. Like,
What did you want? Top five? Not top
I
five.
literally like Steelers are set up.
Hey, that's good enough for me.
You can't say that.
What was your favorite matchup?
One cat.
I
Steelers.
can't hear you.
What was your favorite matchup you went to?
In the NFL?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's gotta be the 4th.
So you remember the year, you guys, first of all, what year were you born?
I knew that was coming.
2008.
Okay, so this is a good one. So he's born, how many other people were born in 2008? Raise your hand.
That's like,
There's only freshmen.
Okay, so just the freshman. Okay, but if you were born in 2012, you were 4, you're not going to remember this game. So I'm going to have to set this up. The coaches will know what I'm talking about.
I was 6.
Tom Brady, you know Tom Brady?
no, I hate him.
Tom Brady crosses generation. That's how good Tom Brady is. We know who he is, and these guys know who he is. So the Patriots are undefeated. This is the undefeated season. Remember when they lost to Eli Manning?
Yeah.
And they're hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers in Foxborough.
Which is the best.
And to answer your question, the best regular season matchup I saw was that game, which you were fortunate enough to see. The Patriots were undefeated. They played the Steelers. I think it was week 13. And the Patriots won because the Patriots went undefeated until Eli Manning beat them in the Super Bowl.
What?
So that was probably if that's your question, the most memorable. Is that answer your question?
Sarah,
Yeah.
are we down?
That was probably the most
My
memorable.
boss is a Giants fan. He was searching, so he gave everybody.
So let me get a poll here. How many fans in here are Seahawks fans? Raise your hand. Losers! Losers! Why are you raising your hand, guys? What the heck? What's the majority? Does everybody have a mix of teams?
It's Steelers. You have to be coaching staff that diehard Browns fans.
How many Browns fans do we have here? Because you have to say you're a Browns fan to get playing time.
Let's be clear, I don't want to get any Brown on.
Boomers.
I see the Ohio State.
I don't want any Brown on.
The Ohio State University.
So I do have a question on that.
Yeah,
The big house or the shoe?
the big house or the shoe. So he's talking about what's my favorite, Penn State
I was gonna say,
or Michigan.
Can't really talk about any.
That's an easy one. Ohio State. Michigan's overrated. Let me give you an example. I'll give you an example of that. I'll give you an example. First time I went to the big house,
hey guys,
they played Purdue. 2007. I think that was the same year they lost to Appalachian State.
Yep.
Ooh, that's.
I got into the big house for $5. No one's ever getting into the horseshoe for $5. I don't care what year it is. And so that's the difference. So, but Michigan's great if it's sold out, they're playing Notre Dame, but that's an anomaly. You go to Ohio State, even they're playing a cream puff, it's pretty sold out. Last game I saw, they played Minnesota 2018.
MSU.
Okay.
Guys have any other questions, or have I bored you to tears?
What is, okay,
what's your favorite NFL team?
yeah.
My favorite NFL team. You know, I grew up in Connecticut. When I was growing up in Connecticut, the Patriots were terrible. But I've always been a Red Sox fan, so it has been the Patriots. But, and I'm not just saying that because I was a fan when they had Steve Grogan and Eason and all those guys. I only played football for 2 years. I played in the 8th and 9th grade. My sports, I was telling the coach, were I graduated 3 high schools in 5 years, but I played 3 varsity sports my junior year. I did cross country in the fall, hockey in the winter, and track in the spring, and I played baseball in the summer. So it's the Patriots. Now my favorite college team is Notre Dame because my last name is Connor and I'm Irish. I want to go to heaven. All right, right here.
What position did you play?
I can't hear
What
you.
position did you play?
In football?
Yeah.
It's what position did I try to play? I was pretty much a wide receiver. Yeah, I played 8th grade football and freshman football. I have a funny story though, and the coaches might appreciate this. So I was playing Little League and I was 12 years old, and I was an all-star in Little League. It was my only good year in baseball. It was my Joe Charbonneau League. The coaches might know who Joe Charbonneau is. He played for the Cleveland Indians. One good year, he's Rookie of the Year. So the football coach at the high school is watching me and these other kids playing football, and he's thinking 3-4 years down the road, this guy's going to be a freshman. I want to get him to try out for the football team. So he talks to my dad, as my dad and him are watching the Little League game, and he goes to my dad, Joe, and my dad's name was Joe. Joe, your son's going to make a great wide receiver. My dad's thinking to myself, my son's 12 years old. You know, but that's the way this coach thought. Sure enough, my first day of freshman year at this high school, Coach Sasimo comes up to me, Joe, you're going to come out for football. And I did. And so I played freshman football, but my main sport was hockey. Until I tore my knee when I was telling you about. I was being recruited by D1 colleges for hockey. I was a right wing. The best guy I played against played an 18-year career in the NHL. His name was Bill Guerin, if you Google him. He played 18 years, won the Stanley Cup with Pittsburgh, I think. But the lesson of this is that I played probably the best prep school league in the country back then. Only 3 guys made it to the pros. So what's the lesson from all that? Get your education.
We're not
Get your education. Doesn't mean you got to go to college, but get your high school diploma at least. Right here.
What's the biggest comeback in an NFL game you've seen?
I can't hear you.
The biggest comeback in an NFL game.
An NFL game and a comeback.
That you were president.
Yeah,
If I was president, I'm going to have to think about this NFL game.
that was an everyone be quiet. We all know.
Oh, I remember it now. So last season, week 2, I don't know if you guys remember this, Sunday Night Football, the Chiefs are at the Ravens.
Yeah.
You ever guys watch this game? It was week 2. It was a high-scoring affair. And of course the Chiefs, I believe, were the defending Super Bowl champions at the time. And the Colts, I keep calling them the Colts, the Ravens pulled it out. Now, you talk about a great atmosphere for football. Baltimore, that's a football town. And so that was a great, to answer your question, great comeback. I want to say that Ravens were down maybe 2 touchdowns at one point, and then the Chiefs came back and I believe they won it in overtime. But Baltimore at night, for a night game, oh boy. You know, like the women and children, they get really into it up there. Now the difference is you go down to Washington at the Redskins or the Commanders game, it's like,
Oh my
Yeah, I
God.
hate the Commanders.
Oh my
you know,
God.
the Redskins fans and the Commander fans are terrible. So,
How do
did I
you-
answer your question?
How do you feel about the Cowboys?
Hey, we're not gonna get political in
The
here.
hockey team?
Cowboys.
Oh, the Cowboys.
We're so happy.
Well, I have to, I'm videotaping this and I want to see my father in heaven. My father was a big Cowboys fan. My father was in the Air Force and my father was stationed at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. And that's when he became a Cowboy fan. Now this was back, I believe, you guys quote me if I'm wrong, when the Cowboys were in the old AFL. Is that right? Before the NFL merged, early 60s? I think so. No, am I wrong? Anyway, my dad became a big Cowboy fan. And I went to Texas Christian University to study journalism, Horned Frogs. And that was when they had Jimmy Johnson and Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin. And I remember calling my dad, this was before cell phones. Dad, how you doing? How about the Cowboys? And that was right after Jimmy Johnson had stood up and done the speech, right? This is before the internet and all that. But me, myself, I'm not a Cowboy fan. But I've been to the old stadium and I've been to the new
The
stadium.
new stadium's nice, huh?
I prefer the old stadium though. The old stadium had character.
What's the loudest stadium you've ever been in?
I can't.
Loudest stadium.
Oh, that's an easy one. I love Green Bay. The loudest stadium in here. Seahawk fans, stand up for me. Where are the Seahawk fans?
Oh, yeah.
Stand up. Stand up here. Come here. Come here. No. This is your chance for love. Come here. Come on, Seahawks fan. Bro, you have a Seahawks shirt. 12th man. Hey, in the National Football League. 1, 2, 3. They're not showing any loud
Say no Seahawks Stadium.
Go sit down.
So and here's the example of that. I was at the home opener in 2008. The home opener 2008, they're playing the 49ers. The players aren't on the field yet. And you're at I had field level. I was writing for NBC Sports at the time. I couldn't hear myself think. The game hasn't started yet. So to this day, Seattle, and there's been, you Google it, right? It's the loudest stadium.
Yeah.
And I can attest, it's the loud. Green Bay is the best overall. After that, I'd say Seattle.